crazy wild updates yesterday in the Nancy Guthrie case. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, March 12th, 10:20 a.m., and I'm still having a coma asleep here. Trying to wake up. I don't know, I might take a few coffees today. I have not been sleeping well, and if you want to just entertain a little funny comedy, if you will, kind of gross but funny. Part of the reason I don't sleep so well is because I got there's a four apartment building, that 4-unit building, 4 apartments in this building I'm in. And the 2 tenants below, the girl has a boyfriend, but somehow they hook up below me in the room, the tenant below me. And for hours on end, and it starts at midnight, and the screaming, and my bed vibrates like it's something else. I feel like I'm inside a porn shop. So, and I'm like, yeah, it's very, very hard to sleep through that. And that goes on several nights a week. So if I look tired, yeah. So I've got my music on, which I listen to every night and have for years trying to sleep. Sorry. It's a little bit much. I've talked about it here before, thinking it's the universe trying to tell me something. It's time to date Liane. Anyways, okay, let's get back to it. Sorry. I called a friend and I'm like, okay, I gotta send them a text. Like, seriously, like, this is not acceptable. From like 11 till 3, 4 in the morning. It's like screaming and shaking and vibrating. It's a bit much. It really, truly is. So I sent them a text saying, could you please, like, I would really prefer not to be inside your intimate moments. Could you try another room? Maybe quiet it down. Crickets. I'm trying not to laugh, but I need a little comedic relief here from all of us. Anyway, sorry for my diverging too much information, but so yeah. Anyways, let's get back to the story at hand, if I can stop laughing, because it's funny, but it's not. It's in the moment, it's gross. Stop. I need a laugh, apparently. Anyways, let's get to it. Yesterday, let me pull up my notes. There were some crazy updates. I'm going to show you a few clips here. I'm going to tell you quickly what we're going to do here today. Is I'm going to give you some updates based on yesterday, March 11th. There was a lot of crazy updates. And my theory has now had to shift because, well, we'll talk about it, but there were some crazy updates. Let's just start with the updates that we had. JLR was showing, I'm going to show you JLR's clip because he's funny. And I have gained a new respect for JLR. I've been following him for years as well in true crime, but certainly he seems to have really changed his vibration quite a bit and have a newfound respect for him. Anyways, I'm going to show you the clip. It would early in the morning. JLR has been there, like, 7 o'clock local time. And he showed a clip of what looked like Cameron and Annie leaving with Nancy's car. And it's like the way it was done, because he had been there since 7. I don't know what time. He's like, whoa, like, how did they get in here? How did they get in here? So we'll watch that clip quickly. And then I want to tell you about some other things that we learned yesterday. So I can clear up and redact part of my theory. And I'm sure you all maybe know where this is going, but we had some really crazy information, intel come out yesterday on Surviving the Survivor, Nancy Grace, and some stuff that validated what I gave the police, and something that made me pause because I have to shift my one portion of my theory now. And I'm really trying to figure that out. So let's watch a few clips here while I talk us through what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's rewatch. Even if you've seen it yesterday, at least rewatch this moment. It's interesting.
Yeah, I emailed you yesterday when you were talking with all the guys yesterday evening. And I wanted to go back to I think it was the very first interview that Nanos did. And I believe it was Sunday night. She was missing. It was dark outside. And he said that when they walked in, they knew immediately that it was a crime, and he called in his homicide detectives. Yes. So unfortunately, I've had the gut feeling that she died in the house, and that she hasn't been alive for a month.
But then why would he subsequently say that, oh, we got somebody here. I got to let you go.
Okay.
Maybach. Somebody's here to Maybach. Thank you, Lori. Dun, 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 dun. Breaking news. Maybach has arrived. Maybach music. Maybach music. We got a Maybach.
Whoops, where to go?
Oh. Whoa.
Okay. So he follows them or watches them in the house, or her. I don't see. It's a man. It's a man. But then later, very confusing because, and that's why JLR is confused. Who are these guys? Are they family? Are they private eyes? Not sure. But afterwards, let's watch. I'm gonna fast forward it here.
Went to the mailbox. I don't know. Maybe he's going in the front door. He's going in the front door. Maybach guy's going in the front door.
I mean, okay, so JLR is watching this guy. And he's short. JLR says he's about 5'5". He gets the mail. He uses the key, goes in the front door. He comments like, that's a $150,000 car. I really suspect Savannah's got people she's hired to watch over the house, to, security, and possibly their PIs. And I would hope so. But now suddenly, and he says someone's in the garage. And this happens.
Come out. Different car?
Come out with your hands up.
Holy smokes. Is that Nancy's? Dude, cars are coming. Multiple cars. Whose car is that? Hold on. Whose car is this? Dude, I think that's Nancy's. I don't know.
Annie.
A woman. Here's another guy. Dude, that looks like Cameron. There goes the Subaru. That looked like Cameron.
I have no idea.
That looked like Cameron.
I thought
that looked like Cameron right there. That looked like Cameron. Yeah.
Somebody been in there the whole time.
Somebody been in there the whole time, man.
Somebody's freaking been in there the whole time. Yeah.
It looked like Cameron, man. Clip that, folks. Clip that, please. Put that on YouTube. Dude, they just did a fake-aroo or something like that. Both come out. One go the other direction. Who was the woman? Dude, was that her blue Subaru? That was Nancy's Subaru.
Does Nancy have a Subaru?
Yes.
Oh,
he's leaving too. That was the Subaru, wasn't it, folks?
Okay. This is all early in the morning. The white guy that just left, the expensive one, guy shows up. He's there for a long time. JLR can hear things going on in the garage, and out pop two cars out of the garage. Nancy's Subaru that looks like Cameron's driving it, and a white car, a Hyundai, not Annie's car, but they think it's Annie. And they come to that conclusion that it's Annie. So that's a very interesting thing. Where is Annie and Tomato's car? Where's their car? Okay. Now I want to jump ahead to Surviving the Survivor. Whoa. What a blowout session they had last night with the geofencing experts. And I got goosebumps as I'm thinking about it, because the goosebumps are probably from one thing that was said that is validating what I have told the FBI and what I suspect. And he had some amazing maps up, and that is that the fastest route out is Oracle Road, Highway 77. And I have said I believe that she is being held north on Oracle. Now, I'm starting to be a little bit concerned that if this goes on much longer, she won't be alive. I do believe, based on something else I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you right now. Well, let's just show you the clip. Whoa. Let's show you the clip. Okay, now listen to this. They're talking about possible routes. I'm going to back it up a little bit and show you, if you will. Let's make myself a little smaller here. Well, I mean, I can show you here. I don't need to back it up. But he says, it's not the woo moment, but I want to just, he says the optimal route. So if you watched me, I didn't show you because I need to do a different setup. When I was feeling energetically the escape route, I went around this way. So I'm going to use this. The next video I do will be using this map to find the exit route. But I have told the FBI that I believe that, whoops, let me get the right one up here. Sorry, y'all. That I believe that Oracle Route 77 exit route was taken. And Doug, the geofencer here, who happens to be in Ottawa, my native city. I just moved to the Quebec side over the river, but just last summer. So Doug is actually sitting in Ottawa right now. I wish I could meet him. I wish I could get a hold of him because he's brilliant. He's the geofencer, and he's saying the optimal route, which I feel like I did, is this red route, and then 77 up. And that's what I've told police. I feel like they are up. They went up 77. I don't think they're really around the house. That's just not my impressions. But listen to the part that I wanted to show you. That blew me away. Listen.
Good. I just want to get your take on that, because I really hadn't considered it until now. But, we know the crime occurred, according to authorities, in the 1 a.m., 2 a.m.-ish hours, early morning of February 1st. But do we really know that? I mean, how interested would you be?
Do we really know that? Because Ann Burgess, who is a famous profiler who has been on the Interview Room with Chris McDonough, says her opinion is possibly somebody was already inside the house when Nancy got home. Now, these three don't say they think that's possible, but is it possible?
Into really narrowing that down and find out, hey, was someone able to get into the house, or let's say, 9 while she was at dinner, and then sit there and lie in wait? And how would you even begin to go about trying to figure that out?
Well, you got to look at the probabilities. Do I think they went in as early as 9? No, because why would they wait around till 2 to do anything? I'm sure this woman wasn't puttering on the house till 1:30 and went to bed at 2, right? So she's probably, it's probably, could it have been? Yeah, but I don't think it's likely. I mean, the clues you have are the pacemaker leaving her phone connection, because it got out of range of the Bluetooth. That's a good clue as to when she left the house. The blood on the porch, which you don't get it till the next day, that's going to be dry. But I mean, like I said this before in your show, she wasn't dead when she went out, because dead bodies don't bleed. She was still alive at that point, and she was dripping blood. And so those are things, but that's where, one thing about, using Doug and everything, I always tell people that when you're the homicide detective on a scene, you're kind of like a general contractor. You're responsible for the big picture, but you farm out all this other stuff. Guys like Doug and other, crime labs and medical examiners, and then you just put it all together, and you put the pieces together, but with information from other people. And that's why we don't do the same job and overlap each other. It's just important tools in the same toolbox.
Yeah. And Joel, if I may.
Yeah, please.
One thing I learned today as a member of the public, and the reason I would extend the timeline to before she arrived home, is that it was posted today that she missed her 10 a.m. medication or 10 p.m. medication. So that would be a question. We all miss medication sometimes. I get it. But is that something? Has she never missed medication? Right? Is that something that is an anomaly? because this
Wait. What? It was posted. Now, we don't know if it's true. It was posted yesterday, March 11th on X, and he thought, Nancy Grace, that she missed her 10 p.m. medication. I had said count the pills in the pill box because I think, let me just straighten this around. It's backwards. I think that this was planned. This was somebody close to her in the family who wouldn't want her to die, that the intent was not originally that she would die. And when I was doing the energy of the mapping on that video, go check it out. I had said I felt there's a connection to the Oro Valley Hospital. I could feel the energy there. And it so happens, and I've got full on confirmation on my body on that. And it so happens that that also shows up in the astrology hospitals. And I said when I was doing it and energetically on the map, I felt like maybe they had stopped, were debating taking her in. And then I kind of realized, no, I think somebody might work there that's holding her and have drugs at their disposal and could very well have planned and gotten drugs for her ahead of time. Okay. Just my theory. But when he said that he heard yesterday, March 11th, it's just rumor, it's not substantiated, but I'm curious. Did she miss her 10 p.m.? Now, Chloe goes on to say, I doubt it. Like, how do we know? Maybe she fell asleep. She was drinking. But we got to remember the tomato car and, the TNA car is still impounded, right? Okay. So that's very curious to me because I had specifically said a while back, count the pills in the bottle, because I have a feeling this was planned ahead with the pills taken into consideration because the intent was never to have her die. Now could be wrong. I could be wrong. We will all find out eventually, right? Hopefully. But so that was really interesting to me. So what I did, because he said, oh, I thought maybe it was on Nancy Grace. I went and watched Nancy Grace, which we're going to get to in a minute. But first, I want to just show you again the map where he says this is the fastest, most possible route out. And so the next time I'm doing a video here, the next video will be me. I'm going to show you the map as I try to follow the escape route out using energy as my Reiki and my arm as the rod, right? Like a dowsing rod would do, to see if I can figure out the way out. Okay, so let's watch for that for the next video. But I want you to listen to this because it's super interesting for a second. And then we're going to get into the bombshell news about Nancy Grace. So let me just go backwards before I move forward here. Let's just say if this rumor is true and she didn't take her pill, think about it. She was driven home at 9:50, the 10 p.m. pill. Now, how would we know it was that day she missed unless she was known to religiously not take them? You know how the pills can be lined out in days of the week. It's very curious. And so we can't necessarily prove it, but it's a very, very interesting point in my theory that while I have to correct something in a minute here, the players that I believe are in the background, it's interesting. Let's just say that it's interesting. The timeline would completely change if someone was inside the house at 10, or was she dropped off at 10:50 or 9:50? Anyway, we'll leave it there. Listen to this though, because when I was doing the maps, right, I had said specifically that when I was doing the maps that I felt like they were getting stuck trying to find their way out. You know, to trying to get out of there. And then we hear this video camera of these cars racing by, but it was a dead end. And I can't keep straight what's right or wrong anymore in the story. And it's not, it's to be expected. The police can lie to us. And, you know, in fact, Laura, who is a PhD, was on Ashley Banfield's show a couple days ago regarding the Tepe updates, the Tepe murders. And she specifically says, like, her and Ashley are discussing how the autopsy results came out for the Tepe murders. And, oh, I got goosebumps. And it's like nothing like what we were told by the media or led to believe at the time. Think about that. Think about that. So it just, what's going on in the background and all these, did these cars, were they part of the investigation? Are they not? Because it wouldn't be the way out. I'm just curious, because when I was doing that energy, I was there going, oh, I feel like they ran into a dead end, got stuck and went out. So very interested to go back and the next video and find my way out of there if possible. But listen to this for a few more minutes.
After that, you're looking at, you know, possible, to have a theory, for me to have a theory personally, I need something in the form of either, you know, a motive, which you can get from evidence. So a motive, a suspect, or a target. We don't have the suspect.
Okay.
Motive, publicly.
So here, okay. So I'm just going to say it, and then we're going to fast forward, and I'm going to show you. I thought this was tomato. Originally, like when I first saw the eyes and the facial hair, I didn't. Okay, let's just be clear. I didn't. But then when he bent over like this, and then you see them coming out and doing that memorial, and I compared the heights and stuff, I felt like that's got his energy. It's got his energy, not in the front, but in the back. But I was wrong. I was wrong. Now, was Tomato there? Or is the energy because he's behind in the background? I don't know. But to me, and a lot of you have commented, this in the back feels like him. Feels like him. But, and I have to say, I was talking about a nail bed and I couldn't find the picture. Well, there it is right there if I back up. Okay, let me just small size myself. You can see up at the very top here a nail bed. And I know it's weird, but I even get his energy in the nail bed. So, going back to what we discovered with Nancy Grace, that this is not tomato. Okay, it's not tomato. But I cannot figure out, and why I'm going to show you in a minute is because, well, I'll just tell you, because Nancy Grace showed yesterday, March 11th, that this guy has a tattoo. We had heard it, but I hadn't seen it with my eyes in a way that I was believing it. Because again, there's so many rumors and speculation out there. But we know now. Now, we're going to listen to that clip because it's also super interesting, because it also aligns with what I told the FBI through the Find Me group in my report. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I do have to correct the statement that I thought this was tomato. Just based on him bending over, and his energy feels like tomato. Now, let me caveat that though. I cannot believe that nobody is talking about the Mob Crew's video where he points out the second set of eyes, right? In that video, and we can see, and it's brought up by by Joel here on another podcast that the Sign Language Association came and said there's some sign language being used here. Like there's some, and then I had said I felt like he was looking out. And then the mob crew, Chris, shows there's another pair of eyes, and you can see the eyes. And when he does this sign language look, I'll play it again in a second here if I can find it. You can see him looking, and then the mob crew did a great job, although he says things that, you know, he does things with his imaging that I'm not 100% sure on. Like he yesterday was showing he was wearing a hazmat suit. He's not wearing a hazmat suit. The cuffs of the shirt are a different color, and they're white. And then also it's said here these homicide detectives, the experts, Cloyd says, the colors are distorted. So we can't assume they're black gloves. We just can't assume that the colors are what we're seeing here. So we don't even know if they're black gloves. So the sleeve discoloration doesn't necessarily have to be white, but it's attached to the jacket. So it's not a hazmat suit. So I say with caution, because I don't know Chris's work, I can't validate, but I also felt that there was somebody in the bush, and he's clearly talking and signing something to somebody as he's grabbing the flowers. And Chris shows another pair of eyes. That's I can't say because I don't know his work, but I do feel like there's two people there. I think that's very clear. And most people, you know, theorizing the ex-detectives, the people in this field, most people are saying they don't believe this was one person acting alone, try to kidnap an elder lady. And these three guests say they don't believe it was a crime that went, you know, a robbery that went bad. They think it was she was specifically targeted. But I'm going to show you that Nancy Grace clip in a minute. Let me just see first if I can show you the clip that I'm talking about. And then I want to highlight again the escape route, that the fastest, best way was where I said Oracle. I just want to, and then we're going to go to Nancy Grace. So let's just see if I can find this full clip. Okay, we're going to watch the video clip, but I want you to hear Kathy Decker, a retired homicide detective. She runs the IRIS program, which is this geofencing that Douglas works in conjunction with her, and Cloyd at the bottom is working directly with her as part of the IRIS Foundation. And the Kathy and Cloyd are ex homicide detectives. Okay, so listen to Kathy's statement here, because I think it's important. And then we're going to show the video clip again. Listen.
Cloyd, I'm curious if you have your own, I imagine you do, if you have your own theory on what transpired here, whether or not this is an intentional kidnapping. Let's start there. Do you believe it's an intentional kidnapping / abduction?
Yes, I tend to agree with Cloyd on that. It does seem to me that the initial plan was to go in, get her, and then perhaps seek a ransom. What they may not have known.
Okay. I have said all along that I believe this was a ploy for the money. In other words, it's made to look like a kidnapping to kill or to kidnap, and literally the ransom was part of that. And these two people, these experts, are saying that they do believe this was a targeted attempt for ransom, for money. So the only notes we've heard about are the ones that went through TMC, right? And they go on to say that they didn't provide proof of life because they couldn't. So possibly she's dead. So I differ a little bit there, but who knows? Starting to wonder at this point, because it's so many days in. They might have planned to keep her for a while alive with her medication if they have the contact, or somebody was working at or broke into the hospital at Oro Valley, which I do really feel energetically. There's a connection to the Oro Valley Hospital. If this was pre-planned to get medication ahead for months ahead or steal them or whatever, there's only so many days that they would be prepared to do this for. And so there's the concern I've got now. But watch the video. Let's watch the video.
Was the medical problems or issues that she suffered from. Their intel may not have been very good, or perhaps they did not have a connection with the family to get that information, or did not know the family well enough to know that about her.
It's over.
So I think that in itself should be an important
Watch that. I've shown this before. He picks it up. He's doing a hand movement and he looks to his left. Watch.
clue. But yes, I tend to think.
Okay. I think he's signaling to somebody. I do. I'm going to enlarge it, make myself small. We'll rewind it because I want you to see it again. Okay. Let's just go back a second here.
Medical problems or issues that she suffered from. Their intel may not have been very good, or perhaps they did not have a connection with the family to get that information, or did not
Okay. He's stepping down.
know the family well enough to know that about her. So I think that in itself could be an important clue.
Look, he's making a gesture as he looks to the left.
But yes, I tend to.
You see it? Okay. He's not alone. He's definitely not alone. The question is, where's Nancy at this point? Is somebody inside? Is somebody outside? Is he using a jammer or a walkie-talkie? My sense is it's a walkie-talkie because I felt like somebody walked quite a ways in and maybe was radioing for a car, because when we show that second clip, let me just comment on that too, okay? I've heard a lot of people talk about that second standstill image as being him casing the joint before. I mean, it makes absolutely zero sense logically that the guy shows up ahead of time, casing the joint, and then stands there on camera and allows to take a picture of himself and is stupid enough to come back now with the backpack knowing there's a camera there. It absolutely makes zero sense to me. And I have said this, I believe, because when I was looking at the energy between this picture and the standalone guide, to me, it initially, I said, like, oh my God, it feels like two different people. Because I think he's walking in here thinking there's no camera, or knowing the camera is not going to take a photo because it doesn't have a subscription. And then they get surprised, whoa, with a flash. And now he's going out to the porch, signaling to the guy, hey, we got a problem. Tries to cover it up unsuccessfully. Goes inside. They do what they have to do. And this second picture is a change of shoes, in my opinion. The only difference is the shoes are different. The backpack's not there. But what do we see in the second photo? A car in the laneway at exactly the location that we just heard, which I'm going to play for you again, that Douglas says the car would ideally be parked at because it wouldn't be seen closely enough by the Nest camera. Let me see if I can pull that picture up for you right now. Okay. I'm going to change my opinion in the middle of this recording, which I don't normally do. But in looking for these two videos and trying to compare the picture before and after, this is a CNN reporting of this photo where they're saying, let me show you. Where they're saying this is like him approaching the door ahead of time. And I felt like it was a different energy. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Now I'm rethinking it. It doesn't make sense because if this guy was scouting it out, and this is not the picture I was looking for either. I thought I had a picture at one point that showed clearly there was a second light in the laneway, which is what I was looking for, which showed a car, and I cannot locate that right now. So I'm comparing it to this video with, Joel now, and with this scene where we were just looking at, and there's an extra light on the top in the houses, but in the photo where he is just standing there, There is a distant light that could be a car, but it's not as pronounced. Let's go back as I thought it was originally. And it could be that I just need to go to the right video. But there's a little bit of a light here. There's a little bit of a light here, like a very tiny light there. So I'm thinking walkie-talkie, they walked in, this is the car, but now I'm just sort of second guessing myself, because if they did scope it out, okay, if this was a separate date, I said they'd have to be the stupidest people in the world, really, to know that there's a camera here. If this was the first picture taken and you're scouting it out and you're standing in front of the camera, it would have flashed. But then you bring a jammer on the night of and are surprised by the photo being taken. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is planning ahead and it's a jammer, because that makes sense. Scouting it ahead of time here, knowing there's a camera, although very risky to show up with a face on and allow yourself to be seen and then go 2 weeks later to remove her. So could it be the same night? I don't know. My gut tells me it is, but I cannot find the photo that I found earlier that I showed here that shows a car light in the background, which led me to believe that this is the guy walking up with the knapsack is before. The intel inside the family knowledge was no subscription to download a camera, but then you show up and there's a click. Ooh, now we got sign language and stuff we're trying to pull from the bushes to cover the camera, which is stupid. But because we didn't anticipate it was going to capture us, then we go do our business, change shoes, which seems far-fetched, or could be two people dressed the same way, but to me, it looks like two pairs of shoes. And the backpack and the shoes with the blood on them, or the evidence, is in the car with Nancy, and the car is in the background with the light on in the laneway, which you cannot see so clearly here. But there was a photo that I had that seemed to show, this is just not the clearer version of it, a light. So now I'm kind of back and forth on, was it a jammer or walkie-talkie? If I had to guess, I'd say this is after. And now he's going back in and smashes, which we see the glass on from the Ring camera on the porch, and the blood, the knapsack, Nancy, and the first pair of shoes that may have evidence on them that you don't want to get caught on in are in the car in the background. That's if I had to guess. Now, we have lighting things going on, and everybody's like, yeah, but it's brighter. Yeah, but he's wearing a flashlight in his mouth in the first one, and he's flashing it. So it's really, and it could be 4 hours later. It's really impossible. And on different days, yeah, the one could have been, 11:52 p.m. and the other one's like 2 a.m. and the lighting is different, right? We just, clouds are overhead at one point. You got the camera, you've got, so I can't say for sure. But if I had to guess, I would say this was after. Okay, if I had to guess. But now I'm just going to bring you really quickly back to the comment about Oracle Route 77, because I did report that. And then I want to go to Nancy Grace, because I also reported that I felt like the father and son were Hispanic, currently holding Nancy, and the father has a criminal background and possibly was not so far long ago released from prison. And sure enough, when we listen to Nancy Grace and the tattoo in a minute here, he says a lot that backs that up. So let's just listen to now, though. I want to show you again the part where they talk about the Oracle Road safe route. And again, I'm going to go back and try to track all this for you. So let's just keep listening until we get to that part.
You're dealing with a case of elder abuse. Now, this may be a complete random event with a stranger that committed this, and that is definitely one scenario. But you have to first consider elder abuse as one possible scenario. With elder abuse, your three most likely offenders are going to be either family, caretaker, or someone in a position of trust. So as law enforcement, you have to go through those three categories of people and see if any of them are a suspect person of interest. After that, you're looking at, possible to have a theory. For me to have a theory personally, I need something in the form of either, a motive, which you can get from evidence. So a motive, a suspect, or a target. We don't have the suspect. Motive publicly, we don't know at this point. And target, it could be Nancy, it could be Nancy's property, and the primary target could be Nancy's family, and Nancy was a secondary target. So we don't really know the target yet either. I do agree with Kathy and Cloyd that this does appear to be targeted, and I don't think it is a robbery gone sideways. So I do agree with them on that. But there's just so many questions to ask. We think this all kind of unfolded around 2:30 in the morning. But I mean, we don't know. Was the offender in the house when she arrived home? I don't think that's been proven that she wasn't.
Burgess, Dr. Burgess, who is on Chris's show, is a famous profiler, thinks that is the case. Okay.
Right? I mean, he wasn't. He could have been.
And
And did he come back at
waiting
2:30
for
just
her.
for the camera? We don't really know that. There's just so many unanswered questions at this point.
Did he come
Right?
back at 2:30?
I think the only thing that most people can agree on is that she was taken from the house, likely by the guy in the camera. But again, we don't agree on that. As you said, you might not even be involved in taking her. So there's just so little that's known at this point that for me to put together a theory, it's just too early. And a potential type of suspect, it's too early. At this point, I'm just gathering facts and then trying to put together the various components of to develop my findings.
Yeah. So this is slide 4. I'm not sure. Did we hit slide? Yeah, we hit slide 3. Okay. So the COE is always right. I should know that by now. Slide 4 is this, Doug, and then I'll move on back to Kathy and Cloyd. These are, I see here, possible routes here, and then an optimal route. What are you doing with this particular slide other than basically mapping the area here?
Sure. So what law enforcement is doing in this area, they're going around and they're canvassing is one of their activities. And Cloyd and Kathy can speak better to canvassing than I can. So they're canvassing the area, and they probably have particular specific areas they're canvassing, or maybe they're canvassing everywhere. I'm not quite sure. So the previous slide to this, it just shows the different points, the pink icons on there. Those are all the traffic signal cameras, just so everyone has an idea of how prevalent they are in Catalina Foothills. They're all over the place, just to change the traffic lights. And then you have the gas stations, and gas stations just represents other areas where law enforcement is going to look for surveillance CCTV footage, because they all have cameras at gas stations, but there's other places that have that as well. So we can move to the next slide there, Joel. So what this does is, when this offender's leaving, that's at State Route 77. State Route 77 is the most likely route out of there.
State Route 77 is the most likely route out of there. And that's what I've said. It's Oracle Road. I believe that she's in the town of Oracle, not as close as other people have said. And I want to just comment as well on JLR. Somebody said yesterday on JLR, none of the mediums are talking about Nancy, because I don't believe she's deceased. Otherwise we'd have way many more people coming out and channeling her. We've heard a few people say, or a couple, one specifically a couple times on this channel, that she's channeled him. but that's just one. Normally we would hear a gazillion psychic mediums coming out saying, this is what they heard from Nancy. So I don't think you can channel somebody unless it's telepathically, unless they're alive or deceased rather. And so I am still not sure she's deceased. I'm hoping and praying that she's not. And I want to just remind everybody before we go to Nancy Grace that a video or an article just came out. Okay. Yesterday, Tuesday, March 10th, at Pacific, 10:41 p.m. Pacific, last night, or no, the night before last, that a Duarte girl kidnapped in 2020 at 5 years old was found safe in North Carolina 5 years later. And I just want to remind you, it says, on Friday, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department notified Washington County law enforcement that the girl may be in North Carolina. The Washington County Sheriffs conducted an investigation and found the child enrolled at a local school, authorities said. The girl was found safe Tuesday and is now in protective custody. These are very rare occurrences to have such a positive outcome on such an old case as this. But it reminds us that through hard work and dedication and cooperation, stories with positive outcomes like this can happen. So I just want to remind you, stay hopeful. That's what we need right now. Nancy needs it. Savannah and family need it. Yeah. So Route 77, I think it's prevalent. Now let's go to Nancy Grace, because I've already told you I have to redact. It's not tomato, even though I thought it was. I have to figure out why I feel his energy is there. And I don't know, because I think there's more than one person there. I'm not sure. But the guy in the video cannot be him now, because Nancy has shown us yesterday he has a tattoo. And let's watch that.
Covered his arms and wrists, not just because he doesn't want to leave fingerprints. It's really hard to get an arm print or an elbow print. That's not the reason. His body is totally covered. Now, let's ISO.
Okay, I also want you to see when the arm goes up, why it's not a hazmat suit. It's attached. You can see. Look for it. Okay. Keep watching. Keep listening.
The tattoo. The sliver of tattoo that we see. We have learned the FBI is doing exactly what we are doing. Darren, the dude Rosa, you've studied this.
Look at the tattoo, y'all. This is the first time we've heard it, but this is the first time I see it. So it cannot be Tommaso. So look at this now. So Mob Crew's saying this is a hazmat suit. It's one sleeve. It's the same sleeve. It's the same sleeve. So he's not wearing a hazmat suit, but keep listening because this is fascinating.
For hours, what is, as you call it, black and gray work?
Black and gray work is a very prevalent style, not only in the southwestern area, but let's say the southwestern area among gangs, Mexican people who might be in these gangs or cartels like to get black and gray. It's a fine line. The outlines are done with a very fine needle. The details, the shading is done with different dilutions of black ink, and we term that gray. So black and gray is considered a style, and this is most likely that style.
Now, you mentioned gang cartel. I am certainly not convinced that Nancy Guthrie's kidnapping has any of the hallmarks of a cartel move. But what about a gang member wannabe? What about family of gang member? What about family of gang members and hangers-on? Sure. I don't think you can limit to just a gang or a cartel member, because once a tattoo is observed by others, they want to replicate it, right? And I want to hone in on the black and gray.
Okay.
But as to relating to a gang or a cartel, let's focus on gang.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe the black and gray is from the Southwest or from a certain region of the country? And what region exactly would that be, Mr. Rosa?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's deal with just the practicality of black and gray. If we're talking about a tattoo that was done in a penitentiary,
Boom.
These inmates don't have access to color ink, but mostly.
Okay. Penitentiary. We're not going to play the whole thing. You can go and watch it. He is firm, and Nancy keeps pressing him, and he keeps going back to, this is a penitentiary tattoo. And I had specifically submitted that the son and father, being Hispanic in my belief, which he also says he thinks that they could be of Mexican. That tends to be their style, where they would have roses, saints, or certain things. Go listen to it. And they end up thinking that this is possibly a full arm sleeve, because you don't generally do your wrist unless you kind of continue with an arm sleeve. But he is adamant that the perp had this done in jail. And I had said that I thought there was a history of the father and son, with the dad having recently been released from prison. So finding this interesting, some of my theories, as we're talking about today, 50 minutes later into this video, are not accurate, which I'm admitting to, because I have to redact now and figure out why I can feel Tommaso's energy in this clip, in this moment, right here, because Tommaso doesn't have a tattoo. I'm wondering, is there a long lost second cousin of Tommaso's who has been released from jail? Because the energy feels so similar to her or him. Why did I say her? Him. Weird that I said her. So similar to him here in this shot. And y'all have said it, like the back profile from when he's at the memorial walking down the laneway, which Cameron was absent from. So at the beginning of this, if Cameron's still in the area taking the Subaru route, like JLR showed us, he believes it was Cameron in the car, and he was right there beside the car. Why wasn't he down in the photo in the memorial? Is there, a congruency in supporting Tomato? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm stretching this too far. But I got to figure out why I feel his energy there. I do, but perhaps it's because he's the one calling the shots. He's the chef, if you will. This is the waiter, as has been described on, the interview room. I don't know yet, but I am definitely trying to zero in on that piece myself. And I really wonder, because the energetic footprint for me, and even the nail bed feels like Tomato. And this feels like Tomato, not the frontal, but the back. And that's where I was confused, that the front didn't look like him. But then I thought maybe if he was wearing that mask and that fake mustache, that could explain, because somebody also comments that there's an eye thing here, And I've seen a picture of Tomato with an eye thing on his eye, like a cyst. So it's very perplexing for me and everybody else. And I guess the only thing I could say is a reminder, go watch Ashley Banfield's update yesterday on the Tepe murders. When she has Laura on, let me just bring you there. Maybe I'll just bring you there. We'll leave it there.
Likely they don't even want, this is a style that's been embellishing gangs for years. And they've honed this style, this very subtle gradations of ink to a fine art. And this is even considered hallmarks of people who have moved up in the echelons of a gang.
So I'm going to leave you with this clip.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. And holy hell, there is some breaking news out of Columbus, Ohio on the Tepe murders, and it is jaw-dropping, it's earth-shattering, and it's very sad. And it's also very disturbing. There are new autopsy findings that have come out from the Franklin County Coroner's Office, and honest to God, not what I thought. not what they told us originally. Way different. This is our very first, and I'm not going to.
Way different than what they told us. So bear that in mind when we're looking at this case. Okay. Thank you for everybody for being here. Do all the YouTubey things. I also released a video yesterday that I privatized because it didn't perform very well, which is so frustrating for me because I was trying to show proof that psychics exist. I said I was a little bit disappointed, which I still am, with Brian Etton's reporting, because it felt like an attack against psychics. Not all of us are 100% accurate. Nobody's 100% accurate. Not all of us are legit, just like in any industry. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly. And I tried to show proof, but regrettably, of psychics, the CIA actually trains remote viewing and yada, yada. And the video tanked, which doesn't do well for my channel. And so I removed it. But it's, and honestly, I just think it's time we stop back in the Salem days of thinking everybody that's a psychic is crazy, because there's good work out there being done. There's books written by psychics that worked with the FBI and solved cases, John Holland being one. It's not as rare as we want to believe. It's not common, but it's not as rare. And the Find Me group that I work with and whom I submitted the report to the FBI with has been around for over 25 years with psychic mediums, forensic astrologers. We've solved over 153 cases, cold cases, missing people, and work with 350 police agencies around the world. So it's really not as woo-woo and all that far-fetched as one would believe. And so I did talk about that yesterday, and I'm still kind of upset, to be frank with you, with the reporting of that, because I think Brian Etton's a more intelligent reporter, and all he needed to do was research it, because it happens. It's not common, and police don't like to admit to it, and they don't like to go there if they don't have to, because most psychic mediums give information like, well, I see a sundial over here, or I see a pumpkin, or whatever. I'm just using examples that are not tangible. They can't work with that. They can't get evidence or a warrant on those things. You have to give specifics. And so if you're not giving very specific details, I can appreciate why they don't want to hear from you. But I did give very specific details. And so I'm really hoping, if I'm right, they're listening. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll go back and apologize. But I really still feel that Nancy is north quite a bit, that they took 77 Route Oracle out, that she's in the tiny town of Oracle, community of Oracle still. And we will do that on the next video. So thank you for being here. Love and light, everybody. Do all the YouTube things. Thank you.